Welcome, viewers. George Washington is known as the invincible god of war who crushed the British Empire. Upon a white horse, he leads his brave men into the dark to claim a truly glorious victory. Records reveal a dark reality. The great commander lost far more battles than he had ever won. His starving army was constantly decimated in combat. He lost major cities and his rebel force. How did a losing general defeat a great empire? The answer lies in his brilliant strategic retreats. This river crossing is a legendary hero's tale. It stands as a symbol of true American power. Citizens firmly believed he was the ultimate savior, bringing pure light of freedom to the young nation. With a shining sword in hand, he charged into deadly fire, showing no fear as sparks flew across the battlefield. His continental army is described as a pure force of absolutely brave and fearless warriors. They stood firmly together, fiercely breaking through the most formidable enemy defenses with ease. History books always emphasize their absolute courage and their unyielding will to fight for the land. The glorious light of victory always shines upon this brave force in every historical masterpiece. Even the mighty British Empire appeared to hesitate, facing their incredible combat prowess. Every step he took brought a massive wave of hope for an eternal and glorious independence. The people truly saw him as the ultimate embodiment of justice and freedom on their homeland. He stood firmly on the snowy battlefield, seemingly untouched by the deadly musket balls flying by. Oral traditions and folk tales only magnified the great mythical beauty of this commander. The truth is, the young American nation desperately needed a flawless symbol to rely upon. They required a spotless hero to guide the struggling masses through the darkest and most uncertain times. Because of this, his military glories were heavily exaggerated by future generations. People forgot the incredibly painful, dark corners hidden behind the glamorous victory. The blinding halo of success unintentionally obscured the fatal flaws in his tactical choices. The world firmly believed that every battle he commanded was a brilliant tactical masterpiece. This image of an invincible warrior was deeply ingrained in the minds of American citizens. But if we peel away the mythical layers, we find a truly brutal battlefield reality. According to military records, the path to glory was never paved with soft and easy roses. Hidden behind the shining glory lay numerous strategic errors, bringing truly terrible results. In reality, he was a general who constantly tasted the bitter poison of harsh defeat. Direct frontal engagements consistently ended in heavy casualties for the rebel militia. The overwhelming power of the Royal Army easily crushed any weak counterattack attempts. The grand illusion of an invincible army shattered instantly under heavy enemy fire. He was not an immortal god, but rather a mortal soldier carrying a tremendous burden. A flawed human being facing the most brutal and horrific challenges in American history. The unforgiving reality of the battlefield delivered fatal blows to the commander's pride. The rapid collapse of colonial defenses exposed severe weaknesses in his tactical approach. He realized he was pushing thousands of men into a tragic and inescapable devastation. If you were a commander constantly losing, would you have the courage to keep standing up to fight? That summer, a catastrophic disaster struck the entire defensive line upon the island shores. His inexperienced army was mercilessly crushed to pieces by the giant British war machine. The Redcoat legions advanced with iron discipline, firing together to create a storm of lead. Meanwhile, the inexperienced militia quickly fell into a state of absolute and sheer panic. Countless terrified peasant soldiers threw down their weapons and scattered wildly from the chaotic front lines. The staggering difference in combat skill between the two sides became painfully and brutally clear. The Continental Army was merely a ragged group of men lacking food and receiving no pay. They fought using outdated muskets against the highly destructive bronze cannons of the enemy. The commander stood helplessly, watching his defenses shatter under the immense British pressure. He was forced to order an immediate retreat to salvage the remnants of his crumbling force. This bitter failure marked the beginning of the darkest days in his entire military career. Soon after, the bustling coastal city fell rapidly under the strict control of the enemy. The arrogant British Empire choked all resistance using their vast and unyielding logistics. Fierce campaigns and brutal purges occurred continuously, pushing the remnants towards tragic ruin. The humiliation reached its absolute peak when the prestigious capital region was captured. The infant government fled in total disarray, leaving a struggling nation on the edge of doom. Fierce mercenaries from Europe amplified the terrifying destructive power of the crown. They silenced forever any rebel soul brave enough to stand in the way of the invading army. His military glory seemed to be buried forever beneath the foul mud of the battlefield. Many high officials began to harbor doubts and demanded the removal of the commander. Mass desertion spread like wildfire as the fragile belief in victory was utterly exhausted. Soldiers could not fight on an empty stomach with wounded feet stepping barefoot on the frozen ground. The biting winter wind was ruthlessly stealing the lives of the very last resilient fighters. According to records, this was the truly darkest moment determining the fate of the young nation. The red-coated war machine had almost completely snuffed out the tiny flame of the uprising. Just one more strategic misstep, and the rebel forces would be wiped off the map entirely. He stood in pure silence, bitterly watching his grand legacy fade away into the cold mist. The immense pride of a European officer urged him to mount one final glorious last stand. But he suddenly realized that fighting fairly by old rules was an act of devastating ruin. The central focus was no longer about defending territories or holding major cities. The sole mission now was to ensure this ragged army avoided total annihilation. A highly pragmatic and entirely new mindset began to form within the commander's brain. If you were a commander, would you embrace the shame of retreat to keep your dying comrades alive? Amidst the brutal winter, the force was forced to hunker down in a barren, snow-covered valley. This desolate place quickly transformed into a freezing hell, overflowing with disease and death. The crudely built wooden huts offered absolutely no protection from the piercing winter wind. Soldiers wrapped tattered rags around their cracked feet, desperately fighting against the approaching end. Yet inside this dark valley of despair, a highly pragmatic art of war was finally born. He decisively discarded all illusions of honor, becoming a cunning, pragmatic wolf. The Continental forces began employing ruthless guerrilla tactics to drain enemy strength. They hid silently within the dense thickets, launching sudden lethal night raids before vanishing. The commander strictly avoided major battles, preserving his fragile militia at all costs. His brilliant evasion tactics left the royal generals incredibly frustrated and enraged. The massive war machine continuously swung devastating blows, but hit nothing but thin air. The mighty British Empire was powerless to find the rebel force and deliver a fatal strike. Isolated redcoat guard posts were constantly surrounded and ambushed in the freezing dead of night. Crucial supply convoys were frequently intercepted, pushing the British into starvation. The cunning wolf turned his numerical weakness into a great mobility advantage. He stretched the enemy lines dangerously far from their heavily fortified coastal bases. His exceptional skill in running away helped the fragile army survive the worst stalemates. With each passing day, the iron will of these peasant soldiers was forged into something lethal. From panicked victims, they truly evolved into deadly phantoms haunting the desolate wasteland. This highly brutal art of survival proved far more effective than any standard engagement. His extreme patience and capacity for immense suffering became an invisible weapon. Instead of fighting a fair match, he wisely chose to weave through retreats, protecting the seed of hope. This incredibly exhausting strategy caused the entire British command to suffer immense regret. They slowly sank into a horrific war of attrition on foreign soil with no end in sight. The proud officers soon realized they were trapped in the deadly snare of an untouchable phantom. By simply not losing completely, the general bought enough time for foreign aid to arrive. Attempts to crush the rebellion were neutralized by the sheer resilience of the survivors. The deadly valley became a harsh crucible, forging a truly elite and formidable army. Through supreme patience and humiliation, the commander orchestrated a grand turnaround. This was the brilliant hinge that finally forced open the door to survival and independence. The great empire finally began to expose its own fatal and critical weaknesses. Unmatched military strength cannot extinguish a fire that is constantly hiding in the night. They wildly swept across the land, but were always left stranded within the empty wasteland. The incredible endurance of the poor peasant army gradually proved to be effective. The British Crown was forced to pour massive wealth and lives into a seemingly bottomless pit. The massive royal treasury began to heavily deplete after years of endless warfare. The fighting spirit of the proud aristocratic officers was completely and utterly crushed. The great general successfully turned the tide by simply prolonging his own survival. He did not need a decisive, glorious victory to entirely finish off the brutal foe. He only needed his persistent presence to completely shatter the enemy's last hopes. By surviving through the most horrific days, he truly managed to create a grand miracle. His outstanding ability to buy time opened a magnificent opportunity for them. The mighty French Empire finally decided to step in and fully support the great cause. Elite royal reinforcements wearing pristine white uniforms marched proudly onto the vast field. The absolutely massive foreign aid in finance and firepower completely changed the tides of war. The once ragged army now possessed enough power to launch a direct and massive attack. But truly, none of this would have happened if he foolishly chose a devastating combat style. The empty vanity of a proud commander could have easily buried the fragile young nation. By embracing the deep shame of running away, he secured an eternal and glorious independence. The glamorous myth of an absolutely flawless god of war is truly nothing more than a dream. Historical truths prove that the incredibly patient soul will ultimately dominate the field. The incredibly proud royal army eventually had to bow their heads and accept defeat. The exhausted redcoats dropped their weapons into the heavy mud, completely demoralized. The once arrogant flags of the mighty kingdom now dragged entirely across the dirt in pure shame. He stood tall upon the quiet hill, calmly observing this magnificent historical moment. The brilliant morning sun perfectly illuminated his fully restored military uniform. He taught the entire world an invaluable lesson regarding the art of extreme survival. During a horrific crisis, falling back is never a true reflection of sheer cowardice. Strategic retreat is a highly intelligent move to find the perfect counterattack chance. The ultimate victor does not necessarily have to be the one who delivers the hardest blow. It is truly the one capable of enduring and surviving through the most devastating damages. His grand legacy is an independent nation and a profoundly deep survival philosophy. Washington boldly proved that mere survival is a victory. He outlasted his foes with sheer endurance. Tell us, was his constant retreat a brilliant move or just cowardice? Share your honest thoughts below. If you truly enjoyed this historical deep dive, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more.